got two for one in many situations. So the door was wide open, and it was my time to happen.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, you wound up in a job where it was predominantly all men. You were the only woman, to my
Yep.
understanding, and you wound up being the party hostess. You
I,
know,
I was the
that's
OSHA, the safety, the
yeah.
security. They gave rewards for following OSHA rules. So I just coordinated those rewards, if you will,
Uh huh.
for those who adhere to the rules of safety for all. And they were fun events. Drive there. And thank God that's what mine. Always having to foil that. My boss himself was a man who had five daughters, and he was proud to have me there. He gave me freedom. And, this really went against the grain of a lot of the men. Like I said, had never had any women working there before. And then a black one, that was a lot for them to take in.
Well, they actually warmed up to you eventually because, I mean, all that party. Yeah, how can you not? You know, I
They
mean,
became my friends.
hey, listen, we don't call you Queen Hostess for nothing. Because
It was so
you
funny.
are truly Queen Hostess. That's one of the nicknames that we've given Claudette in our little circle. We call her Queen Hostess because she is definitely the hostess with the mostest. She knows how to
Well,
entertain and take care of people.
I want them to feel welcome when they're with me. I want them to be happy and, just enjoy themselves because that's the whole point of hospitality is getting with somebody and it's taking time and, getting to know about them and have them know about you. So I enjoy those experiences. And this instant ain't everything reminds me that we've moved so far away from that. We're constantly on our phones or some screen, which really cuts into your ability to take in that person right in front of you.
Yeah,
Because I'm
yeah,
looking at my screen.
yeah. Yeah, no, that's
So,
that's very, it makes us so impersonal when it comes to
yeah.
our relating to the people around us. We become very, very antisocial, you know. I mean, I look at little kids as opposed to when we were children. We were always outside. We used to sneak outside when my mama didn't want us to be outside. And I look at the kids today, you can just barely get them to go outside. And when you see kids out, at least in my neighborhood, when I see kids outside, it's almost abnormal, you know,
Yeah.
because
They're not really playing. You're like, oh, wow, he's throwing a ball.
yeah, you
Something
know,
you don't see much of
no, you
today.
don't, not today. So now, you wound up coming back to Chicago after 12 years in LA.
Yeah, I didn't come straight back. I detoured, took my next life-changing move to Memphis before I came back to Chicago, ultimately.
And how was
And,
that? How was Memphis?
after LA, as beautiful as it was, I missed the culture and the community of Chicago. We're raised in segregated areas here in Chicagoland, and I miss my people. They were there, but the only evidence you see of them in great numbers would be in, some of the less advantaged areas, and I didn't venture over there. I had seen enough poverty in Chicago, so I didn't even really go over there other than to know it was there.
Mm-hmm.
And Memphis had the numbers of black people everywhere. I was
Mm-hmm.
so excited about that. But
Mm-hmm.
they disappointed me, shall I say, greatly.
Mm-hmm.
They were far behind the ways of California in terms of progressiveness. At that time when I first got there, they didn't even have nail salons. That's what made me decide to look into that. I could get my nails done. They had a
Mm-hmm.
nail shop on every corner in LA.
Well,
So when I
yeah,
got there,
yeah.
I couldn't be beautiful every day. I'm like, I didn't know what I was going to do. For sure, there. Of course, I'm a tax professional and a notary, and at that time I was an insurance agent, so I knew I could make a living. But on a day-to-day basis, I looked into the manicuring business, and that was what I decided I would do. That took a lot of help from the community, my cousins, because women didn't have businesses at that time. Not only they didn't have a nail salon, women were not in business up front. It was a man who could host or hold a business.
Yeah, they were the ones that started the business.
She had to have a man to cover her.
Or she was always in the background. Well, for the most part, the females were in the background. You're right about that. A lot of women were in the background, and but the 70s and the 80s started life to change. In terms of that. 85.
Yeah. And they were on the cusp of change. But I think I helped move it a lot forward because I began reaching out and challenging some of their mores there, and was successful in getting the commitment. I operated my salon in this mall. There was a white beauty salon, a white barber shop, a black beauty salon, a black barber shop. But nobody had nails, and they had to agree that, okay, I could open a nail salon, and perhaps they could all, take advantage of that, because they stayed across the color lines. They never really crossed them until the nail shop came to life. And so I'd like to say I was instrumental in getting some integration going in the service industries here.
Yeah, well, that was the South, and the South were, as we all know, the South was the kingpin of slavery, and slavery, a lot of the states didn't ratify until later in the 21st century. As a matter of fact, Mississippi didn't get ratified until 2013. It was still a slave. Slavery was actually still legal in the state of Mississippi, which is not far. Matter of fact, Mississippi is 2 hours from Memphis, Tennessee, or actually not even 2 hours. But I mean, well, if you go down to Jackson, it's 2 hours. But it's right there on the state line. Memphis, Tennessee is right there on the Mississippi state line. Matter of fact, the Casinos Tunica is right there with Memphis. So, but given it, they didn't become a part of the union in making slavery illegal until 2013. That really speaks a lot about the conditions in the South and the mentality of the people in the South. Because the South, I found it to be very different. I actually lived in Mississippi for a couple of years, and it was before
it's quite different from Chicago and California for me.
Thank you. Yes, it was.
The numbers, but I didn't see the collectiveness that was so possible, because almost everybody was a landowner that I met. They didn't rent; they owned land and houses. But they didn't ever really parlay that into anything as a collective. Yeah. Or there was only small efforts at that. I'm like, you all got all of this, and you all not, leveraging that for greater political power, greater access. They didn't. Just was not a part of their culture. Chicago, you get political about everything.
Yeah.
That was kind of, different for me.
Well, Chicago actually. I came to Chicago from Buffalo, New York, and Chicago was actually a different. It was different for me because I came from a town that was basically integrated. We had every nationality you want to think of on the block. We lived amongst in an integrated community, and when we came to Chicago in 1968. It was segregated, And
Yes,
you
it
know,
was.
I lived in an all black community. I'd never lived in an all black community before ever in my life. So that was a whole new experience for me. Even when we lived what is known as High Park now, but it was Woodline at the time because we lived at 66 in Kimbar
Hmm.
when we came, and then we moved to Chatham, which was one of the better areas where black people live, but still by the same token, it was an all black community.
Yes, that's
And
what we had.
yeah, and that was really really hard for me. It was really really hard for me because when I came to Chicago, I had to fight a lot. I mean, it was always somebody wanting me to prove myself or to prove
Yeah.
that kind of thing, and I never had to deal with that type of behavior. So